everybody. So I my name is Teresa and I am PowerPoint dependent. You're all supposed to laugh, clap, and say, "Hi, Teresa," so that I can feel like this is my tribe. Um, So it's true. I actually do have a PowerPoint, but I also want to make this kind of conversational because you know that we are facilitators. I'm not going to talk, even though it says it's a webinar. I like Zoom meetings and I want to be able to actually talk with you and not just at you. So I always appreciate it when people are on camera, if you can be, so that I don't feel so alone over here. It's always nice to see some familiar faces and to meet some new people. We are going to do some introductions, but I'm going to share with you my screen. And we'll get to introductions in a second, just because, like I said, I'm PowerPoint dependent. And if I don't share the screen, I don't know what I'm talking about. So here we have, today we are talking about moment to moment wellness. The subtitle is What You Can Do in the Here and Now. So I know folks may have attended, I know I've attended countless wellness trainings in this field. And I am always, I'm usually disappointed in the end because we spend a lot of time talking about the problem. We talk about burnout, we talk about compassion fatigue, we talk about stress. And then at the end, there's a couple of things that people throw out there that maybe you can do about it. And I wanted to flip the script on this and have this. Yes, I am going to talk a little bit about why we're talking about wellness, just so I can talk with you about that. But I mostly want to be solution oriented. And talk about what can we do to remain healthy and well in this field that we work in. So let me skip on to a couple of more slides. We're going to do some welcome and introductions. First, my intro slide. So my name is Theresa M. Knorr, and if you Google me, please give me the M. If you don't, you will find a serial killer. That is not me. There was a woman who, I don't know, killed her children, and her name was Theresa Knorr, but she doesn't have the M. Her middle initial is a C. So yeah, if you Google me, please give me the M. I am a CARC in New York, so that's a certified addiction recovery coach, and of course, a CCAR RCPF. Currently, I am working as the Senior Director of Recovery Education and Training at Friends of Recovery New York. I literally have 11 days left in this position. I am retiring. Thank you, God. I know. Um, so literally at the end of June, I'm leaving my position. And then I'm going back to doing what, not that I didn't love this. I love what I was doing. I've been there for 9 years, but I am also the owner of my own consulting and training business called Balance Recovery Consultation, Tai Chi for Recovery. And I'll tell you more about all of that in a little bit. So I'm the owner of that business and facilitator and wellness broker. That's my rebrand. I am now rebranding myself as a wellness broker. And so if you're, you know what a recovery resource broker is. I'm a wellness broker because I have a lifetime of my own lived experience in all these different techniques that I have used myself to try to maintain my own balance, which is where I got the name of my business, and be well. So now I'm, as I'm retiring, I feel like I'm embracing my wise woman years and want to pass that information on to y'all. So that's a little bit about me. Let's talk a little bit about the goals and objectives of this training. It's real simple. I want you to have an experience of nervous system regulation. It's really important. And as someone who I have complex PTSD, and my nervous system is often dysregulated. And when I've had an experience of nervous system regulation, it's like, oh, that's what it feels like to be normal, like everybody else. Like, cool. So I want people to experience what that feels like. And then the second goal is to learn at least one technique from each of these categories that we'll talk about that is going to utilize the body. How do we use our body? How do we use our senses? How do we use the mind? And how do we use the heart to be regulated and to feel well? So those are the goals and objectives. Typical working agreements for any kind of facilitation, y'all know, right? Confidentiality, respect, stretch. I mean, all those things that we talk about for working agreements. But one thing I'd like to add is I would like for y'all to agree to try to have a little fun. Sometimes webinars can be kind of boring and dry, and I want you to actually try to, take embrace the idea of having fun with me this morning. And we will do some things and get up and move around and take some breaks so that you're not sitting in front of the screen for the whole time. Okay, so I am going to give y'all a chance to introduce yourselves. And since we have Travis, how many people do we have right now in the room?
We have 17.
17. Okay, so that's a lot to go around the room, but I not to have everybody, but if you choose to, but I would like everybody to at least think about this for the moment. Is throw your information in the chat, like who are you, where are you from, and think about and throw in name one thing that you did as a child for fun. So I'm going to come off share and look at y'all. So let's think about that for a second. What's something that you did as a child for fun? Because when we answer this question sometimes as an adult, it doesn't bring up the same experience. But so can I pick on people? I like to play duck, duck, goose, and I'm gonna make an assumption, and you can certainly pass. If you're on screen, if you're on camera, I'm going to call on you. See, so Mary Olson, I know that you chimed in and said good morning. I don't know you, Mary, but good morning. And would you be willing to introduce yourself and let us know what you did for fun as a child?
Yeah, of course. I am Mary. I live in Iowa. My purpose is to become a recovery coach here in my town of Council Bluffs. And one thing I did as a child is there was a bunch of us on the block. We would all get together, same age group, and a neighbor would put a can outside and we would have to play kick the can in the dark. So it was like hide and seek, and whoever could kick the can was safe. Whoever was last, they could get caught. That's just
Love
what
it.
we did every night for fun until the streetlights came on.
Love it. Beautiful. So I want the folks in the room to notice what happened to Mary's face when she was talking about kicking the can. Like I saw this smile, and I see your beautiful teeth and your beautiful smile, and and what happened in your body when you were talking about that experience? Can you describe what happened inside your body?
Yeah, it's excitement because it was just the world just isn't the same as it was back then. So it was very nice to get the group of neighbors together and play this game. It was very fun. Nowadays, you just don't see children out doing that kind of stuff. So it's very
Right.
nice to have that as a memory to look back on.
Yeah, so what happens when we recall a memory like that is that we actually start to feel some of the feelings that we experienced as a child. So just the exercise of calling to mind something that we did as a child for fun. Somebody else want to share? Is there someone else that's on camera that want to share what you who you are and what you did for fun as a child? I will. Oh, Ed, my love, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. Ed Havlovic. Well, one of the things that always was a fond memory of for my childhood was I grew up on a farm in the Midwest. So one of the favorite things was to, if I had an afternoon, grab a fishing stick, can of worms, and then just walk down to our pond and throw my little hooker out there and wait for fish to bite on my hook.
Love
It
it.
brought me great pleasure.
It did. Sometimes the simplest things, you know, like walking out in nature, um, you know, whether it's with your by yourself or with someone else. Yeah, the simplest things. So when you recall that to mind, Ed, what happens in your body?
Y- I still can remember sounds from those afternoons. I still
Mm,
can remember smells from those
mm.
uh, meadowlarks. There was trees and a bunch of trees near the pond, and you all of these birds were always in those trees. I could remember those birds chirping constantly. I still remember the smell of the dampness of the pond and that green fungi growing on the water had that always strong smell that I remember. Here it is, what, 60 some years later, and I still remember those sounds and the smells and the setting.
That's beautiful, Ed. So you actually just highlighted one of the things that we're going to talk about. So when we talk about moment to moment wellness, staying grounded in the present, because when we were children, we were very present. And we were very attuned to our senses. So Ed is able to recall sights, sounds, smells 60 years later because he was there. He was immersed in it. He was present. And now we can bring that back 60 years later and still recall that. So engaging the senses is one of the most effective ways that we can stay in the present moment and affect our wellness. Thank you, Ed. Love it, love it, love it. Let's do one more. If someone else is willing to, I'm seeing lots of stuff coming in the chat. Um, I asked Travis to kind of help monitor the chat. Is there anything you want to highlight, or is there somebody that's willing to share either something? Oh, go ahead, Pete. I was going to call on you. You read my
Oh,
mind.
thanks, Teresa. Hi, everyone. Pete Villanueva. I'm at Vancouver, Washington. And one of my childhood memories is we used to live next to this open field. And, there wasn't a lot of development back then. And we had some next door neighbors that were like the same age as me and my brothers. And we would just all go out and take our bikes. And we had a dog. And we would just go out to the field and we called it exploring. And we would just kind of ride our bikes around. There was hills, and our dog would just run around without a leash. And we would just be out there for hours, just to kind of let let the day tick away, and just come back to eat and get rehydrated and go back out. And I always remember it because even today I still feel the call to go out and do something different, even if it's local. It doesn't have to be far because it was that field that was right there, like literally across the street from where we lived. So I didn't never felt like I had to leave my neighborhood to feel like I was on an adventure. So
That's awesome. And I'm watching you as you tell the story as well. I'm there with you. I'm like you're describing it and I've got my bike and I see my dog and like I can live vicariously because I mean I had a dog and a bike and being outside and on an adventure and you're smiling and experiencing that as you tell it. So that's beautiful. So I want to invite everyone to take a moment, whether you wrote it in the chat or you just felt it yourself, the power of those childhood memories and remembering the things that we did for fun, that were not about a deadline and we're not about a device and we're not about any of the things that let stress us out lately. They often involve nature, they often involve our playmates, our friends, our siblings, so people that we love and care for. So just thinking about, I mean, sometimes it was just simple things, whether you played kickball or foursquare or jacks, or I played with Barbies. I think I saw people in the chat talking about their dolls. There's so many things that we did as children that brought us joy. That if we take a moment to remember, we can recreate the scene in our minds. And then that also reminds us of some of the things that we can do. I don't think that we, nowadays, like we want to be human doings, meaning like whatever it is that we're doing, it has to be productive. And it doesn't. We sometimes we just need to have fun and relax and rest. Rest is resistance, people. Okay? So like let's not buy into that we have to be productive all the time. So thank you very much. Travis, is there anything in the chat that because I'm sorry, I can't multitask. This is why I've employed Travis to, you know, if there was anything that you wanted to comment on in there.
No, I'm looking at Letitia's, and she talked about just playing house by herself in the rain, and I'm thinking about myself. And we used to, my friends and I, we would get on the trampoline and we would just make up these stories in these games when we would play. And I think a huge part of this is like diving into your imagination. I know that's something that really keeps me present as well. You and I have talked, I'm a musician, and like that's a huge part of moment to moment wellness, right? But that's what comes up for
Excellent.
me. Yeah.
Beautiful. All right, thank you. Well, we've got a room full now. We got 25 people here. So, all right. So that was kind of the icebreaker, a little get to know you. I appreciate people who spoke and that folks who were throwing stuff in the chat. I'm going to get back to the PowerPoint and we're going to go through just going to blow through some of these slides about, the setting the stage for why this is even important. Why are we talking about? There are some inherent issues and risk factors involved in your work. And often people don't talk about what I call occupational hazards, right? In many industries, we're taught to, use caution, wear a hard hat, wear a seatbelt, take safety precautions. And often in our field with coaching, we don't often talk about what are the inherent risk factors and occupational hazards to what we do. So we talk about how sometimes we put everybody else before us, right? Our coachee, our clients, our family members, they come first. We're always available. And we got to, whether it's emotionally or physically, we seem to be always available. And so guarding our own time and having some boundaries is something we'll talk about. Oftentimes we're working long hours and have high caseloads. And there is this minimal discussion about occupational hazards compared to other professions. So we're going to talk about it. Also, a lot of us come in with our own lived experience. Right? And so we say that when we're in struggle is me too, says Brene Brown. I love that. I have found my recovery tribe. During the pandemic, I found an adoptees and addiction meeting online. That was the silver lining for the pandemic for me. And to watch as I spoke, people's heads bobbing up and down because they're going, me too. I understand exactly what you're talking about. I'm an adoptee. I have an addiction. And that me too is really, really powerful. That allows us to relate, right? To the folks that we're working with. We have the lived experience, whatever it happens to be, it allows us to relate. But it creates a vulnerability to the traumatic experiences of others because sometimes these similar experiences may be too close to home. If we have our own stuff that's unresolved, then sometimes relating to other people can be a bit much. So this is often termed as unmanaged empathy, or also known as caring too much, right? So what this looks like may be fueled by not managing our own stuff. And you know that that's one of the three-legged stools in the CCAR model is that we have to make sure that we are managing our own stuff and that we're resolving our own issues. So when we feel that, when we feel triggered in whatever way, when we're talking with someone, if we have someone in front of us, whether it's in a group or whether it's a one-on-one coaching session, this may point to places where we need to heal when we get that little ouch moment inside. So we may identify so strongly that we suffer as well. So learning to manage that is really important. So some of the risk factors for compassion fatigue are some of these things. We may have our own personal history of trauma. We may be in geographical or social isolation, especially if we're working from home. We may be overworked or overwhelmed. We maybe have too many clients. We might have limited professional experience. Maybe we just got here and we don't really have that experience yet. We may have limited training about specifically about vicarious trauma and its prevention. Friends of Recovery New York actually, well, and I do too now. There's a whole training in New York, Trauma 101, that talks about what vicarious trauma is in the field and how we can work with that. We may be working with a high percentage of traumatized children, our adults who were traumatized as children, and working with clients who are underserved and disadvantaged, and working for poor pay under stressful conditions with limited resources. So these are some of the risk factors for compassion fatigue and burnout. And so these are some of the symptoms, signs and symptoms. You know what they are. We don't feel good, right? We don't need to go into all of this, but these are some of the things, that you can see are some of the symptoms of burnout. So if you're experiencing any of these, it's time to take a look inside and do something different. So burnout is a syndrome with dimensions of emotional exhaustion, depersonalization, and reduced feeling of personal accomplishment. That's one definition of burnout. When we, start to not care so much or don't feel like what we're doing is making any difference. That's when we know we're burned out. Okay, so let's talk about you. Anybody who wants to. What are the issues, the problems, the challenges of the role that you currently have that you think could lead to compassion fatigue or burnout? What's bringing you to the edge? Anybody want to share? Feel free. Sade.
So I think for me, it would be the fact that just like the connection of lived experience, uh,
Mm,
and the fact that I myself am still working on my healing journey and still, oftentimes am triggered, and so it's just I've been a social worker for a very long time. So I'm kind of used to it at this point, but the act of supporting others when I myself am hurting, or trying to, manage life. Um, so I think that that would be it. And I think then when I think about my own resilience or in some situations lack thereof, then um, like my expectation is or used to be that I'm like I'm delivering the answer instead of you know just allowing the person that I'm helping to be their own expert of their own lives. I've
beautiful.
I've
Beautiful.
since learned different skills so that I can so that they can be their own experts and I'm just here as a support, but just kind of um, not making that my go-to, sometimes can be a struggle.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you so much, Sade. Some of the things that you said are very important. So, understanding that probably I would say most, if not all of us in the room, are on some kind of a healing journey. This is why we get into this work, right? That we all have our own wounds, that we are in the process of healing, regardless of how long you've been in the field. I've been in the field for over 30 years. And I'm still healing and I'm still learning about myself. And as my recovery guru, Tommy Rosen, says, it's a journey of discovery. Recovery is I'm constantly learning and uncovering the roots, of what brought me into recovery 30 years ago and still on a journey. Chris.
Yeah, hi. Yeah, so for me, like signs of burnout, having worked in the recovery field like coming up on 10 years, for me, it's a lot to do with the organization, and respecting my boundaries and having measures in place where there can be separation of, personal and professional lives. Um, I think also, the big part for me is the self-care aspect. If I need to have responsibility and accountability on that side to take care of that. Um, and then also, one thing I've learned is like, if things aren't changing and you're requesting help and you're needing things to be different to avoid burnout, and they're not happening, is being courageous enough just to say this isn't working and step outside. Because like I fall into the trap of like I'm not much, but I'm all I think about, and the world's not going to go on without me in it. And I have that type of thinking, like, so like it's like hard to like step away and put it down, because there's guilt conflicts, which probably stems from trauma. Like, I don't want to leave more on my team, but I think that comes with time for me. Yeah, I've done a lot of growth, and it's just like, what? It'll be there tomorrow. So
God, that's so good, Chris. Thank you so much for all that. So this webinar that we're on today, we are talking a lot about the our own personal accountability and taking care of ourselves. But I definitely want to echo that. I am a champion for organizational wellness. Every time I see our commissioner in New York, I say, "Hey, how about that wellness bureau?" Like where is it? It doesn't exist. And and my battle cry is every organization needs to allow folks time, resources, which means money, right? And space to take care of themselves. Because I can give you all these techniques, till the cows come home. And if your organization is not creating some space for you to do that, some time for you to do that, and providing you the resources to do that, then maybe you're right. Maybe it is time for us to, rethink where you are.
yeah. I think another thing to what you said, a challenging part is that, typically these entry level positions, they're underpaid, undervalued. And a lot of times individuals have associations with these, like maybe they sought help through this clinic and now they're working for them. So I feel like there's also like a power dynamic there where you feel like a sense of responsibility or that you owe something. And I think that's tough to discern. Like,
Yeah.
what? Yes, you helped me, but I don't owe you anything. Like,
Yeah.
uh,
Good for you. Yeah,
uh,
we'll talk more about that at the end about part of the wellness techniques. I'm here to talk about moment to moment stuff, what we can do for ourselves here now, but there's a bigger picture out there about getting good supervision, good support, having learning collaboratives. I mean, CCAR is great for making sure that we have a community that we can talk about this stuff with and get support from. And that is all definitely part of our wellness. All right, let's do just one more. Someone else who wants to talk about, so we talked about, being someone with lived experience, and then trying to figure out, where our boundaries are with our agency. Is there anything else, other issues that somebody wants to throw out there? What could lead to compassion fatigue or burnout? I think about, like our personal lives as well. And so always trying to um, have that work-life balance. And we think that because we all got lives, right? We got families. I have an aging father. I have, like my sister was sick. Go ahead, Joy.
Hi, Joy. So I am the same person also that has no camera because we have no technology up here. And that is what would lead to a lot of burnout is trying to keep up with technology and the lack of.
Yes, absolutely. Trying to keep up with the technology and having the tools of our trade is really important. Making sure that we have, yes, all the technological tools. But one of the biggest tools that I want to talk about is ourselves. We are our tool, So like when a carpenter goes into the workspace and has his hammer and his saw, he goes in there and those tools are in tip-top shape, right? If you can't go in with a broken hammer or a dull saw, it's not going to work. So we, our own selves, our own person, we are our tool. We need to be in tip-top shape. We need to be sharp. And and so that is where, taking care of ourselves moment to moment is really going to make us more effective at what we do. I say self-care is not just a good idea. It's actually an ethical responsibility as a recovery coach, as a care provider in whatever capacity, it's an ethical responsibility to keep your tools sharp so that you're good at what you do. So it not only helps you, it helps the people you help. All right. So thank you very much for brainstorming with me. I'm going to go back to my lovely little PowerPoint. Let's see. We're half an hour in. We're actually doing pretty well. Is everybody okay? I want to make sure, you're not getting fried just listening here. Okay. So, a lot of what I talk about comes from one of my, gurus here is Dr. Gabor Mate, um, who wrote a book called When the Body Says No. And then there's Bessel van der Kolk's The Body Keeps the Score. So our actual physical vehicle, our body, keeps the score. And sometimes we have to know when to say no so that our body doesn't do it for us. So, all those symptoms of compassion fatigue and burnout can actually lead to physical illness. So, his quote here, he says, when you shut down emotion, you're also affecting your immune system, your nervous system. So, the repression of emotion, it is a survival strategy, but then becomes a source of physiological illness later on. So taking care of our tool here, our physical, emotional, spiritual, mental health, is what's going to help keep us physically healthy as well. Okay, next slide. Oh, so let's do it. So this is Travis.
It's
This
my
is an
moment.
energy. This is your moment. Okay, so I'm going to stop share and we're going to get up so you can share. And I actually, if whether you have your camera on or off, doesn't matter. I don't care. I'm going to ask you to suspend your disbelief and get up, stand up, everybody, and we're going to move for a second. I don't care if you got rhythm or you don't. You're going to strike a pose, okay? Can we agree? We're going to have fun. This is forced fun, people. This is this is a little mandatory. Okay,
Here we go.
make it loud. Okay, start to move. I don't care how you move. You guys know this song? Just start moving. Okay. Everybody,
It's got
get the
some
hips
moves.
moving. Let's see your moves. I don't hear nothing. Did we lose the music?
I got it cranked over here.
Does anybody else hear it? You have to share sound?
Yes, I can hear the beat.
Okay. I don't know why I can't hear it. That's all right. I can move to my own music. Okay. Okay, we're gonna do this just for a few minutes. Get it going. We like to dance. Shake it up. Shake it down. Strike a pose. Go. Faster. Okay. Rock it out. You can sing if you want to. Woo! Let's go. Letitia, she's rocking it. Ed's exercising. What's going on, Mary? Danny's laughing. He's like, I'm just chair dancing. Chair dancing. Sade? Oh, yeah. Joy is having some joy. All right. Bring it down, bring it down. You're sweating. All right. So give yourselves a round of applause. Thank you very much, Travis. All right. So now I want to talk about why we did that. Why did we do that? And how do you feel? Oh, Letitia's like, give me some air. How do I breathe now? Okay, not everybody loves to dance, but I love to dance. And yep, Letitia's like, I love to dance. And it is so accessible at any point in time, with or without music, honestly. Moving our bodies is one of the quickest ways to reset and regulate our nervous system. It's a very interesting thing. So in the wild, if an animal, say a deer, is being chased by a lion or whatever, and it outruns the lion, it's been traumatized, right? Do you know what it does to shake off the trauma? I just said it. It shakes, it trembles, it shakes it off. You'll see that animals have a natural instinct to shake their bodies to discharge. What we're doing is we're discharging the cortisol. So when we're traumatized, in whatever way, the fight, flight, freeze, fawn responses releases natural chemicals in the body to help us get away from the threat. So whether it's adrenaline to get us moving or cortisol, so we have to do something to discharge those chemicals. So movement is one of the fastest ways to get that, use up the adrenaline and the cortisol. It gets your heart rate going, so you're circulating blood, you're breathing. So movement is, so I wanted you to have an experience of nervous system regulation, and you'll watch that it actually, even if you got winded or you're sweating or whatever, that it will have an effect that will last, hopefully, throughout the rest of our time together here. So when I ran a halfway house for 14 years, and I used to walk down the hallway, and if I saw someone who was having a particularly hard moment and was sad, I would often come up to them and be like, come on, come on, come on, do it with me. I'm just doing a beat in my own head. And in the hallway, we'd be dancing, just grooving. And within minutes, you would see the smile. You would watch their countenance change. Try it. It's something you can do for yourself, and you can engage with someone else. And you watch people, like, sometimes they would roll their eyes at me and laugh and be like, Teresa, you're crazy. But you little cray cray. And that's fine. You can think I'm crazy, but it works. Okay. So there is one experience of yeah, being Debbie Dancer, Davy Dancer, an energizer, get you up and moving. Anybody want to share anything about that? How did that feel for you? Positive or negative?
Positive.
Okay, give me some words. Describe what was it like?
I'm always impacted by music, and I can change my moods and my thinking many times just by putting on some of my favorite music, whether it's heart beating, thumping, or something very serene and calming. And sometimes even just sounds impact
Yeah.
me.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I'm looking at some of the stuff in the chat. So endorphins happy, absolutely. That was awesome. Music calms the savage beast, absolutely. Oh, it has some serious moves, right? Yeah, real good. I did a spiritual retreat called the Hoffman process at one point in time, and my teacher during the process talked about he was having a fight with his girlfriend. They were having an argument. And in the middle of the argument, I think it was him that said, wait a second, hold on, hold on. And just started dancing. And she started dancing with him. And just a few minutes, like, calmed their nervous systems to the point where then they were able to continue the discussion and to be partners instead of opponents. Just few moments of dancing. So synchronistic movement is actually very healing. When you move in synchronicity and in tandem with another person, there's actual research out there that shows that we like the person that we're moving in tandem with. We can remember what's being said, and I'm not really sure why that is. But we're more charitable towards people that we're moving in tandem with. So dance on a regular. Dance. My retirement party we just had, I insisted that we dance. And we did. And it was lovely. Of course, I think by the end of the evening, I was, yeah, it was just me on the dance floor, but that's okay. All right. Do we need a wellness break, or is everybody okay to continue, or does everybody need to go pee, get something to drink? Remember to hydrate on a regular basis, not just coffee. You know, I'm a coffee person too, but get some water in your body. Get some, everybody take a drink. What do you got? Let's show us your beverages. I'm seeing water, water, coffee, soda. Danny, what is that? That's like liquid sugar. Like, come on. All right, so make sure that we're hydrated, especially since we were moving. Oh yeah, water. There you go. Lots of water, Sade. Mm-hmm. I'm drinking ginger tea, actually. Arletta's got water. Very good. Okay, so let's move back to the PowerPoint. What do we want to talk about now? Okay, so let's talk about when our stuff gets in the way. A little bit about this. Oh, we're only on slide 17. I gotta start moving. Okay, so when our stuff gets in the way, yeah, let's talk about that for a second, because that, I mean, not too long, but just if anyone can come up with maybe a recent example of when you knew that your own stuff was getting in the way. You know, whether you were working with somebody and you got triggered, or maybe you were having a hard time relating or listening, or are we able to recognize? And so, like, here's the thing. Here's the thing that happened, whatever the thing is, right? And here's a quote unquote normative response, as my therapist says. We don't use the word normal anymore. A normative response, right? So this is the thing that happened. This is a normative response. It's like kind of like equal and opposite. Then there's Theresa's response, all the way up here off the charts. So it's like, ah. What that lets me know is that there's something else going on.
Theresa?
What? Underneath, something in the subconscious that's happening underneath. So here's the thing, here's the normative, here's Theresa's response, and underneath in my subconscious is something from my past that has been triggered. So anytime I'm having more than a normative response, if I'm feeling emotionally triggered, off balanced, negative emotions, anxiety, anger, fear, then I know there's something else going on with me. And so I owe it to myself to try to explore what is that? When is that my stuff getting in the way? Sometimes it happens on a staff meeting, like when the office manager brings in a new policy, and I'm like, I all of a sudden tense up, because now I got to fill out that form too. Come on, like, why am I allowing this to bug me so much? So there's something going on with me because I like things the way they are, and change is difficult. And so, my stuff is getting in the way of my performance at this point. Anybody else think of any other, when maybe recently that you've been triggered? Not that we're doing psychotherapy here, just an example of, when you felt like your stuff got in the way. Letitia.
Yes, I'm going through it right about this week's. I'm not employed. I'm unemployed. Okay, but my sponsor threw at me something that I have not reached back to her. I have 2 weeks I don't talk to this lady. Um, I felt that it was a judgment call that she did for me. I don't know, but I got to find the courage to call her and ask her why she made the statement that she did. You know,
Mhm.
and that's where I'm at, developing some courage here.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Very good. So that's a beautiful thing is to recognize, in ourselves when we're triggered by something and then to come up with, I often call it reality testing. Like when my sister didn't call me back the other day and I tried texting her and calling her and texting her and calling, and my trauma response was, oh my God, she's abandoning me. I will never speak to her again. And I know that that was my own trauma. And so I called her to say, hey, you weren't calling me back. And she's like, oh, I'm really sorry. I got blah, blah, blah going on. But, until I did the reality testing to check out what that was, I was pretty triggered. So, Cynthia, we'll just do one more. Cynthia, you got your hand up?
Yes, I did. Thank you. I say I'm going through it currently right now with a coworker. It's every time we're in a meeting, it's like every time she speaks, or should I say, every time I speak and then she rebuttals what I say, something about that is triggering me, and I'm trying to figure out, well, what is it? And so it's like I'm trying to manage my reaction to it, and it's it's not working out well for me. So I'm just trying to figure out how do I do that? Like, how do I not allow her rebuttal to have a reaction out of me?
So we're going to go through some steps in this presentation, and you just mentioned one thing that's really important is the first and foremost is awareness. The fact that you are actually aware that you are being triggered is, I mean, what is if you work a 12-step program, right? Step one is recognizing that there's a problem, right? So awareness is key and taking ownership to say, hey, if I'm triggered, what do we say? If I'm pointing the finger out there, three are pointing back at me, right? There's something going on with me. What is it? The second thing I want to notice is what we already talked about is settling into the body. And I took a course with Dr. Gabor Mate on compassionate inquiry, and to passionately inquire within ourselves. What am I feeling right now? Where is this in my physical body? Like, is it my tummy that's clenching? Is my jaw clenching up? Are my shoulders tight? To literally tune into your physical body. Do it right now. Everybody, feel your butt in the chair. I mean, really, just feel your butt in the chair. Like, how often do we think about our derriere? We don't, right? But like bringing your awareness into the physical body is such a helpful tool. And then we can go further from there. So first, having awareness that there's an issue, and second, where is this in my physical body? And just giving it space, letting it be there, not trying to change it and saying, oh God, my jaw is clenched, but just go, oh, interesting, my jaw is clenched. So compassionate inquiry. I'm passionately inquiring, where is this happening in my body? And then we can take it back even further. When have I had that feeling before in my life? What does it remind me of from my childhood? Because dollars to donuts, you can guarantee if there's a big reaction, there's something in the subconscious that's related to our childhood. And then we take that to wherever we take it, right? We take it to our sponsor, we take it to our therapist, we take it to our support system, we take it to our journal, we take it to our higher power, to our nature, wherever we take it to. But yeah, so thank you, Cynthia, for bringing that up. That's very helpful to talk about when it's our own stuff that's getting in the way. So let's talk about the solutions. So the solution, moment to moment wellness. Sometimes it's about getting out of my head and stopping trying to figure it out, trying to figure out why or what. Let's just, how about what? Don't think about the why, think about the what. Instead of why am I having this feeling and why is she saying that to me and why am I reacting this way? How about what is going on right now in the moment? Where's my body? How's my breathing? Is my body tense? Am I relaxed? And employing different techniques to stay well in the moment. And then we can figure out why later. So let's just stay there. So some of the solutions that we're going to talk about, number one is first, we're just going to identify wellness. What does that even mean? What does it mean to be well? We'll talk about self-awareness, interrupting the stress response cycle. So we talked about fight, flight, fawn, or freeze. That's our stress response to any threat, perceived threat. So the woman speaking in the staff meeting is not necessarily a threat, but I'm perceiving her as such. So how do I interrupt my stress response? How do I develop resilience so that I'm not triggered as much? Then understanding that staying connected to human beings, having good boundaries, practicing self-compassion, and then a variety of different wellness practices along with accountability. So these are all of the solutions that we can employ. And so we're going to break those down a little bit. So first, just talking about what the heck is wellness anyway. So the philosophy of balance. So here's a little definition that says wellness. It's not the absence of disease, illness, or stress, but the presence of optimal physical and behavioral health. So how do I feel? How am I acting? Do I have a purpose in my life? That's going to help with resilience. Am I actively involved in satisfying work and play? Which is why we talked about what we did as a child in the beginning. Do I have joyful relationships? And am I experiencing happiness? So that's wellness. And the SAMHSA 8 dimensions of wellness. So we can have wellness on all these different levels: emotional, financial, social, spiritual, occupational, physical, intellectual, and environmental. So we want to really operationalize this. What are the things that I do to take care of my feelings in healthy ways? So developing those. The things that I do to spend and save responsibility. So that's in terms of financial wellness. In terms of social wellness, what are the things that I do in relation to other people? And for my spiritual wellness, the things that I do to get perspective in my life and whatever that means to each individual. Occupational is the things that I do to make sure I am aligned with my work-life purpose. And then the physical is the things that I do to take care of my body in healthy ways. And then intellectual is the things I do to take care of my mind. And environmental is the things that I do to create a livable space and environment. So that's just a journey through the 8 dimensions of wellness. So let's talk about self-awareness, because this is probably the most important thing that we can learn is self-awareness on a moment-to-moment basis. And it starts with the physical body. And so a lot of this information is coming from a book called Burnout: The Secret of Unlocking the Stress Cycle by Emily and Amelia Nagoski. They're sisters, actually, and they wrote this lovely book. And so we're going to talk about, first of all, the difference between stress versus a stressor, right? So stressors are what activate the stress response in the body. And so typically we think about external stressors. We think that it's these things outside of us that are causing us stress. We think that it's our work or lack of time or lack of money. It's our family. It's always not enough, lack of, it's this lack mentality that we have. And we think that it's coming from outside, like stuff is due, I'm running out of time, the kids are making me crazy. But really, it's not the things that are happening outside of ourselves that stress us out. It's really about our reaction inside to what's happening on the outside that stresses us out, which is really because we don't have control, right, over the stuff that's happening on the outside, but we do have some control over what's happening on the inside. And sometimes, like we're thinking about, we're worrying, we might be bringing up old memories, or we might be engaging in self-criticism, or we might have, poor body image, or, we don't like who we think we are, our identity, or we're worried about the future. These are all the things that are happening inside of us. And we have to start to understand that we can actually have control over these things. We can choose what we think. We can choose what memories we're going to indulge in. Like we brought to mind this morning, our memories of happy childhood. We can choose to bring those things. When we hear the self-critical voice, we can choose to ignore that voice. Having a good body image is choosing to have self-acceptance and knowing, that this is the one body that we have and we need to take care of it. And then changing who we think we are, our identity, and whether or not we worry about the future or manifest the future by what we think. So let's talk a little bit more about the stress and the stress response, our external and internal stressors, we think are threats. So when we think that there is a threat, this alarm goes off inside of our brain. And then it releases these stress hormones. And then those stress hormones will cause all kinds of changes throughout our entire body, through our nervous system. So we may have increased respiration, increased heart rate, tensing muscles. So the entire body and mind change in response to the perceived or real threat. So that's just a biological thing that happens. So when we think that the lion is chasing us, even if the lion is our mother-in-law, is our boss, is our kid, is our partner, whoever we think that lion is, we perceive it as a threat. And then we go into the 4 F's. One of these: fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, which can cause uncertainty, paralysis, powerlessness, or avoidance, which is interesting. So I think that most folks are probably familiar with, what that all looks like. So I'm not going to go too far into it. But the idea is to close the cycle. So as I said earlier, when that deer is being chased by the lion, and then it goes into the woods and it realizes that it outran the lion and it shakes it off. That shaking is the closing of the stress response. So, there's the story about, the guy who's out hunting and he is being chased by a lion and he's freaking out, and then he turns and he kills the lion and then brings it back to the village. They cut it up and have a meal. And so the village celebrates together. And so he closed the stress response by the celebration and the meal. And so we have to find out what works for us and how do we close the stress response? How do we shake it off? All right, so we will talk about the stress itself will kill you faster than the stressor. So it's actually not the lion that's going to kill you. It's your elevated heart rate and your increased respiration and all those chemicals surging through the body. Those are the things that will kill you faster than the actual thing. So when we're angry at the boss or angry with or upset with our coworker or whatever, those perceived threats and what it does to our nervous system will actually kill us faster than the boss or the coworker will. So unless you do something to complete the stress response cycle, while you're managing the day's stressors, your body is managing the day's stress. It's absolutely essential to your well-being that you give your body the resources it needs to complete the stress response cycle that have been activated. And so that's from that book by Emily and Amelia. So let's talk about how we do that. Interrupting the stress response techniques. Travis, what time we got?
Just
Um,
just changed to 11 o'clock.
Okay.
Halfway there.
We're halfway there. So we are halfway there and halfway through the slides. So I want to, before we dive into this, um, I do want to give everybody a little break because 2 hours on Zoom is too much for any brain to handle. Take a 5, 10, what do we got? 10-minute break, 5-minute break? What do you need? One hand for 5, two hands for 10. Oh, we got 10s, so 5s, 5s. Okay. All right. So take a 7-minute break. How's that?
She's back.
Come on back.
Come on back.
All right. We're going to talk about interrupting the stress response. Different techniques. Let me share my screen. Okay. Where'd my PowerPoint go? I hate that. All right. So, as we already said, physical activity is the single most efficient strategy for completing the stress response. So whatever it is that you do, you're dancing, you're swimming, you're playing a sport, whatever it is, that is the single most effective and efficient strategy for completing. So get up and move, even if it's just dancing to the beat in your own head. That's one way to do it. Another way to do it is breathing. So this was a fabulous little box breathing thing that they had on YouTube, which no longer exists. So I'm going to lead you through it in a different way. So I want you to just find a comfortable position. You don't have to be all, cross-legged Zen Buddhist or anything, but just find a place where you can sit comfortably, unobstructed. And we're just going to breathe for a minute. So let me show you. I just do it to my own hands. So when we breathe in, hold, breathe out. You can do it with me or you can just breathe. Breathe in. Breathe out. Do another big belly breath in. Breathe out. All right, we're going to add a couple things to that. So breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth, you're going to take your tongue and place it behind your teeth. And when you breathe out, you're breathing out through the mouth, but you want to hear it. It's like an audible breath. So what this does, first of all, when you do that, it opens your airway so that you get more air in and out. The other thing that it does from a Chinese medical perspective is it connects two energy channels called meridians that run up the body, one up the back, the other one up the front, and they end one in the tongue and the other in the right behind the teeth. And it creates an energetic circuit that keeps your chi or energy flowing in your body in a circle. It's like, when you put a battery together or a positive and a negative charge, you put them together and it creates a circle and keeps the electricity flowing. It's the same thing with the energy in your body. So let's do it again, but this time, and the other thing I want you to add is when you breathe in, you're pulling the air not just into your lungs, but into your belly, into your diaphragm, into the pelvic floor. So pull the breath all the way in, way down deep into your pelvic floor. So let's do it again. So breathe in, breathe out. And on the exhalation, you're going to let all the muscles on your skeletal structure just feel it kind of like sink and hang on your body. So an in breath, out breath. In, out. One more with relaxation. In, It's amazing how just a tiny, what we only did like a couple minutes there of focused, relaxed breathing into the diaphragm, not in the chest, bring it into the belly, relaxing your body as you exhale, and you're focused on what you're doing, so it creates attention in your, so you're breathing, you're feeling it come into the nose, you're feeling it go out to the mouth, you created that circuit, and you're relaxing the body. So deep breathing, there's hundreds of breathing techniques. That's just one. There's box breathing where you count 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you hold 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you exhale 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, that's another simple one. They say Navy SEALs use that. That's how they're able to like deal with all kinds of crazy situations and stay calm, is they do this box breathing. So the breath is incredibly powerful. There's actually breath coaches out there now that teach all kinds of fun stuff on how to control the breath and regulate your nervous system. Another one is focusing just on the out breath, trying to make your out breath longer than your in breath. So if you breathe in and then exhale, like making the out breath and exhale longer and relaxing. Then there's one where you do the in-breath longer than the exhale, that's an energizing breath, where you breathe a really, really long in-breath and then a very short out-breath. I mean, there's so many breathing techniques out there. So those are just a few that you can try on your own to try to close the stress response. Let me get my PowerPoint back up here. Any questions about any of that so far? You guys have heard of breath work and breathing techniques and stuff. It's nothing new. The problem is that we forget to do it. And that's why we say moment to moment wellness, to be monitoring your breath every moment, because there's nothing like it to bring you into the present, because you can't perceive the breath that's yet to come. You can't perceive the breath that just left. You can only be present with the one that's happening now. So if you just focus your awareness on the here and now, and on what is the air cool as it's coming in? Is it warm as it's going out? Just tune into your senses, tune into your body, come to the present moment with the breath. And you're doing it all day, every day. This is a practice, and we forget. But you know what? You can remember anytime you want. And in that remembering, you have brought awareness to the present moment. Cannot overemphasize, how important the breath is. All right. Then the other thing, which God forbid, this is like, get some sleep. Please get some sleep, for God's sake. Like sleep. It's such a good thing. It improves your mood, improves your memory, improves your physical health, restores your energy. We aim for 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night, and some wonderful little tips that they have on here. If you can't read them, I will read them. Go to bed and wake up at the same time every day, even on weekends. Maintain that circadian rhythm. Find ways to relax before going to bed every night. If you read, shut the phone off, shut the TV off, shut the computer off. Maybe read, walk, avoid distractions, don't eat a large meal, avoid long naps, exercise regularly. So those are all, some tips to getting better sleep. Another wonderful energizer of how to close the stress response. One is laughter. Laughter is the best medicine, makes us feel better all the way around. Have a good cry. Just let it out. Having a good cry. God, I love a good cry. Have a big old cry. Just let it flow. And if you can't, if it's hard for you to cry, find some sappy, sad movie. Like, try to use that just to release some of those tears. And there's actually a difference between happy tears and sad tears, the chemical compound. Tears are cleansing. When we shed tears, we get rid of all kinds of stuff and let go of negative energies. It's a cleansing, healing is to cry. And this is about social interaction, the having people to talk to in your life. So let's anybody got a joke? Come on, somebody's got to have a joke. Somebody's got to have like the worst 8-year-old joke or dad joke that you ever heard in your life that you want to share, because I can see people just grinning. Somebody's got a really terrible joke. I have a really terrible joke, but this is a litmus test of whether or not you can be my BFF, because it's just horrible. But I won't tell it unless somebody else, someone, someone has got to have a joke. Come on,
Okay,
what
I'll
is
tell
one?
you one that my 8-year-old did tell me.
Yes,
Okay. Why don't ghosts lie?
I don't know. Why don't go sly?
Because you can see right through them. She told me that and I lost it. I don't know where they come up with these things, but sure.
That's perfect. Because you can see right through them. Yeah, they can't get away with it. Very good. Yeah. So every once in a while, tell a dad joke or one that kills the 8-year-olds, because they're the best. And yeah, so I have a really dark, kind of sick sense of humor. So not people don't always laugh when I tell jokes, but that one's really good. All right. If anyone has another one while I'm finding my PowerPoint, feel free to chime in. All right. So laughter. Here's one of my favorite medicines. Hug, kiss, affection. These things are super important. Releases oxytocin in the body. Have you had your 6-second kiss today? The Gottman Institute. This is lovely couple that researches relationships, and they showed that longevity in couples comes from things like physical touch, and it's a 30-second hug or a 6-second kiss. Make it count. Okay. um, Release oxytocin. Oxytocin is the bonding hormone that is released when mothers breastfeed children, when they breastfeed the baby, so the baby and the mom are bonded. I did not get enough oxytocin because I was adopted. 6 months in an orphanage. So like this is my love language. I need that, like I need breath. I need touch, physical touch and kiss, because I was deprived of oxytocin as an infant. So, so you'll find that people speak different love languages. Some people don't like the physical touch because of whatever trauma they experienced, and it's uncomfortable for them. So, we have to be careful with this, but know what your love language is. Know if physical touch and affection is something that works for you. Um, Creative expression. This is a beautiful thing, making sure that we are engaging our right side of our brain. I had a somatic practitioner tell me I needed to do more right-sided activity, so I took up watercolors. So I've been painting on a regular basis. Get out of my left side logical thinking, just do more right brain activity, whether that's storytelling or theater, painting, music. These are all things that engage the right side of our brain and are really helpful for closing the stress response. Um, Sometimes it encourages big emotions, and so we can use this creative expression. All right, so I want you to, we're not going to do the brainstorm, but just maybe throw some stuff in the chat of how do you close your stress response cycle? If you use any of those techniques, or are there other things that you do that help you to de-stress? The other thing that will help us a whole heck of a lot, which I know we already talked about, is having proper boundaries. Like when we say no, that is going to help lower our stress for sure. So walls keep everybody out. Boundaries teach people where the door is. And so, there's a whole bunch of ways, different kinds of boundaries that we can set, physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual boundaries. Understanding that, there are lines that people cannot cross in terms of who you allow to touch you, or, where are you finding mental safety, includes your thoughts, your feelings, emotions, values, opinions, and beliefs. What are the things that are sacred to you that are like, no, you can't tread on that. Same thing with your spiritual and emotional boundaries. You don't have to be defined by your job, your social status, your family, etc. So allowing yourself to separate from your feelings of other people. I don't have to take on everybody else's feelings. That's their feelings. I can't tell you how freeing. Well, I mean, I learned this at a very late age, that my partner being angry with me did not mean that I had to lose my mind and do something different. It was just his anger. Oh, that's interesting. You feel upset about that. Tell me a little about that. Where in the past I'd be like, "Oh my God, you're upset with me? What can I do? I gotta fix it. I gotta change it." No, I can just let him be upset, and that's cool. Like works. I set a boundary. Your being angry doesn't mean I have to fix it. And our spiritual boundary, giving yourself permission to define your own relationship with whatever higher power you relate to, if any, and not letting others control your calling or your talents in life. And there's different ways to set boundaries. Some effective boundary setting is just to state how I feel, what I want or need, and how I will respond to meet my needs if I do not get what I want or need. So, telling people, I feel hurt when you say XYZ. What I need is for you not to say that. And if you continue to say that, I will leave the room. And, because we can't control what other people do, we can only control what we do. So, my boundary is not about changing anybody else's behavior. It's about letting them know how I will respond if they don't. So, learning that was really freeing too. I don't, like this is how I feel. This is what I want or need. If I don't get it, this is how I will act. It's not, so people can always choose whether they want to comply or not. And that's not my problem. My problem is how will I behave if they don't. And remembering that setting boundaries is actually compassionate. It's compassionate to you and it's compassionate to other people. It's giving them information about how you want to be treated. We really do teach other people how to treat us. So when we're setting a boundary, we're recognizing when we're being triggered. So we then can step back mentally and emotionally. And we notice when our stress levels are rising. And then again, we can step back, maybe even physically, take a step back, take a breath, move around. So setting boundaries is sometimes with others and sometimes it's with ourselves. And some other wonderful tips about setting compassionate boundaries. This is going to help us build compassion for ourselves and others and resilience, right? So know what you want to say yes to, and what you want to say no to. Be proactive. Have meetings with your significant other or your team members, to discuss your boundaries and the structure. And just say it. Don't make people guess. Use simple and direct language. That previous slide was really helpful. When I feel this, this is what I need, and this is how I'll act if I don't get it. Reinforced by pointing out the violation in the moment, not hanging on to stuff for 12 years and then pointing it out. And then give explanations that are specific, relevant to the person, and offer shared solutions. That's a really helpful one, and asking the other person, how do you think we can solve this is often a really helpful one. And then back up the boundary with the action. So if you give in, you invite people to ignore your needs. If you say, I'm going to leave the room if you continue speaking to me that way, and you don't leave the room, then you've just given the person permission to continue speaking that way. You actually have to leave. So those are just some tips for setting compassionate boundaries. So some of the components of self-compassion, we talked a lot about this already, is, being mindful, practicing self-kindness, and recognizing our common humanity. So be aware of our physical, emotional, and mental pain in the moment. You don't have to change it. You just have to be aware of it. You just have to acknowledge it. Practice self-kindness is treating ourselves with kindness and considering our own needs. Oftentimes we treat other people much better than we treat ourselves. So how would you treat a friend and then treat yourself that way? And then recognizing that these experiences are a normal part of being human. My partner says he's part of a men's group called the Mankind Project, and their motto is F up and F up often. It's like just screw up and screw up often. That is their motto because that's how we learn. We all screw up, we all make mistakes. Have some compassion and recognize that all of these experiences are normal and natural and cut ourselves some slack. All right, how we doing? We got half an hour left, and now we're gonna do like some more experiential stuff. So get ready, okay? All right, let's see what we're gonna do next. Like I said, I'm PowerPoint dependent. I have no idea what's coming up. Something fun. Okay, so we're gonna talk about wellness techniques, and they fall into four categories: the physical, sensory, psychological, and emotional. Taking care of myself doesn't mean me first, it means me too. Because oftentimes, especially in our field, we put everybody else ahead of us and we don't take care of ourselves. So, the first technique we're going to talk about is the physical, utilizing the body. We say, move a muscle, mend a mood, right? So, if I'm having a mood, I can go get a massage, lift some weights. There's lots of things that we can do to utilize the physical body, but the most effective one, I love this, is swimming. If you can swim, especially outdoors, swimming offers a host of beneficial effects on the brain. Swimming gives your brain a boost, but scientists don't really know exactly why it's better than all the other aerobic activities. Anybody got any guesses? Why swimming? Maybe, has anyone experienced? I'm a swimmer. My friend has a saltwater pool, and I go, a couple times a week.
This is just a complete guess, Teresa, but I wonder if it has to connect with something like, because we're born in water, right? We're held in that, was it amniotic fluid? You know, and then
Yeah.
of course they are made of water, so maybe there's something there.
Yes.
So just a thought.
Uh, that's my guess too, Pete. That is my guess too, that we are water. Over 70% of our body is water. And we have, there was a Japanese scientist who did this whole study on the effects of, yeah, of our words on water. Yeah, we were born in, of, and are water. So swim, 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 swim. You get aerobic respiration, you're hanging out in amniotic fluid. We feel, held and bathed and, we're in the womb, whatever. I love to swim underwater. I can hold my breath for a really long time. Yes, Ed. You're taking me to Reggie's, right? We're gonna go swimming. Is that what you're telling me?
Exactly. No, I too remember that our bodies are over 70% water. And here's the thing that I was always told. If the ocean can be impacted and be raised and lowered by inches because of a full moon, the gravitational pull and the stress on our bodies, which is over 70% of water, can be impacted during the tenure of every month during full moon and waxing moon phases.
You
Just a
think?
thought.
Yeah, hey, that makes sense, right? Why do you, I mean, there's anecdotal evidence which, may or may not have been debunked over the years, but about, like emergency rooms being fuller, people having more babies more often. I mean, that gravitational pull, you know, it may have an effect. Yeah. Yep, I love it. So swim as much as you can is one of the ways of closing the stress response. Now we're going to do some yoga. Okay, so sometimes people are very intimidated by yoga, but it doesn't have to be. It's super, super simple. This is another, we're going to get you up and we're going to do three poses. We're going to do mountain, Superman, and gratitude. So let's come off share. And if you are so inclined, get up. Get up, get up, get up. Oh, actually, I got to see. I'm going to move my camera so you can actually see me back here. Okay. So, can you still hear me? Give me a thumbs up. You can still hear me okay? Yep, okay. So, the first pose is called the mountain pose. It's so simple, but ground your feet. So, have your feet are shoulder width apart. So, when you look down, your feet are about the same width as your shoulders. You're going to stand up straight And pretend that there is a string attached to the top of your head and it's moving your energy up, but you're still grounding yourself into the earth. So feel your toes fan out and try to feel like roots shooting from your feet into the earth. And then you're going to just have your arms be by your side. And this is super simple. Stick your chest out, have your head up, your chin's just a little bit tucked down, and feel your head moving up as you feel your feet and your arms, all the energy stretching down, and just hold it there like you are a mountain. You are grounded into the earth, yet you're jutting into the heavens. At the same time, you are strong, you are grounded, you are level. This is mountain pose. And with your chest stuck out and your chin up, you're a little bit proud. Now we're going to move into Superman, which is basically just put your hands on your hips, widen out your stance a little bit, stick your chin up, stick your chest out, and pretend you have a cape on your back. Okay, so everyone, I am Superwoman. Doesn't it feel amazing? It's like, ha! I am conquering the world. I am saving the world. I have got it going on here. All of that and a bag of chips. I mean, whatever way. So just feel it for a second. That's mountain pose. Superman or Superwoman with your feet are like you're grounded into the earth, but you're like really proud. I got it going on. And then the last one is gratitude, where you're just going to have your arms up like in a Y, like you're doing the YMCA thing. Okay, once again, your feet are grounded into the earth, your chest is out, your chin is up, and you can look up into the heavens and you are receiving. You are receiving. Oh my God, I'm so grateful for everything that I'm receiving. I'm receiving love, I'm receiving abundance, I'm receiving joy, and make it a feeling. Feel it in your heart and be thankful for whatever it is you're calling to mind. I love the nature that I can see out my window right now. I can see trees and green and stream, little vermin running around in the yard. I think it's a squirrel. But okay, beautiful. That's it. You can do these poses anytime you need them. You need a little gratitude in your life. Oh, you can even do it sitting, right? Standing in mountain, I need to be firm. Or so yoga, you can go to a yoga class and do yoga and get all the poses and all everything, but you can also do this in any moment, in any space. You can stand up and stretch, take a breath, ground yourself in the earth, stick out your chest, put up your chin, and watch how your body feels different. So anybody want to share anything that you felt in any of those poses? Did any of those poses bring up anything you want to share? Is it new? Is this new for anybody? I've never done a gratitude pose before. That was really cool. You know, whatever it is. All right.
I'll share a little bit, Teresa. Um, the grounding and how you said to connect our feet, the mountain pose. It
Yeah.
reminded me of when I used to practice Aikido. It's a martial art where you use energy, right? And that was something our sensei, our teacher, taught us a lot, is how to keep that connection all the time, even in our movements. So our feet are grounded, our energy is connected to the universe so that we're not just in our space, but in the space around us. So I
Oh,
appreciate that
yeah.
reminder.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And that's the thing. So I teach well in the next slide, I teach something called Tai Chi for recovery, and we talk a lot about that as a martial art as well. But that reminder that you don't have to be in the dojo. You don't have to be, you know, like getting ready or in the yoga studio or whatever. You can do these poses and remind yourself that we are connected to the heavens and the earth. We are part of nature, and this is something that can give us energy and peace and grounding, whatever it is that you're looking for in the moment. You can find a pose that will bring that into embody it, you know. And so when you embody it, you start to feel it, and then it's It's doing all kinds of wonderful things energetically and neurochemically
If I could
to
add
use.
one more thing, my sensei gave me an exercise once. He said that chest expression that you shared with us and the crown basically, right, connection of, above our head. He said to walk around like that and see if anything changes, right? And so I said, okay, I'll give it a try. And I swear, nature seemed brighter. I could see colors and auras a little bit more clear. And so I try to purposely walk like that now, just to be aware of like what's around me that is just emanating energy and beauty, because it's always all around. It doesn't matter where you're at, like you said.
Yeah, that
So
is so good, Pete. Thank you so much. Yeah. I say I walk with the majesty of my own being. That like I have a tiara actually. Every once in a while I put it on, like to remind me whose daughter I am. I am a child of God, and God is whatever, however you just define it. To remind me whose daughter I am, I put on my little crown and walk with my chest out. Yes, with the majesty of my own being. Love it. Thank you very much. Okay, I'm going to teach you another one now. Just quick so you can see the name. So, like I said, I teach something called Tai Chi for recovery. It's a combination Qigong Tai Chi form that's choreographed to the Serenity Prayer so that anybody can, remember it and do it. And I'm going to teach you the first move, which is called separating yin from yang. The TikTok video doesn't work, so you're not going to get to see that. You're going to see me do it. Um, but I do have other TikTok videos. It just, for whatever reason, it's not working now. All right. So once again, this is a get up, if you're so inclined. And you're going to get back into that stance where your feet are shoulder width apart and your shoulders are over your hips. You're going to bend your knees so that this way you're like really grounded. You'll get this, Pete, because this is probably similar to a keto, where your knees are bent. So nobody can knock you off of your stance here. You're not going to tip over. You're grounded in the earth. Your ears are aligned over your shoulders. So your chin is slightly tucked back. Your shoulders are aligned over your hips, and your hips are aligned over your heels. So if you look down, you can see there's an alignment there, and your knees are over your toes. So that's how you stand. And we're going to do that breathing that we did before, where your tongue is connected to the roof of your mouth and you breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. Bring the breath into the belly. Relax all the muscles on your skeleton. And then you're going to bring your hands together in front of you. And when you breathe in, you're going to bring them up, just about to chest height. And then bring them a little bit closer to the body and push down and breathe out. Relax the body. Let's do that again. Let's breathe in. Bring them in and push down. Breathe out. One more breath in. And out. Okay. Super simple. That is called separating yin from yang. And what that does is opens up the energy channels known as meridians throughout the body. And it in the form that I teach, that's choreographed to the first line of the Serenity Prayer. So God is ground yourself in earth and heaven, and grant me the serenity is this. It's like a wave on the ocean. If you think about that movement, it's very serene, just breathing in it. You can do it seated. You don't have to stand up, but you're breathing in and out. Okay, so if you're interested in learning the whole thing, come to Boston Spa, New York, because I don't teach it online, but I do a retreat once a month in Boston Spa, New York. It's a 6 credit course in New York, but it's, you can come and learn the whole form. And then I actually do a teacher training for it at some point as well. All right, where am I? I am going back to the PowerPoint. Okay, so that's Qigong. We're still on the physical. We talked about dancing, communal movement, circle dancing, journey dance, ecstatic dance. There's all kinds of dancing things. Moving in unison is super, super helpful. You could do something simple like just walk in place, or run in place, or take a 3-minute walk and do it out in nature. Like if you can go be outside, even better. Just even just a 3-minute walk around your building. Go outside, breathe some fresh air. Even in the winter, if it's freezing, go do it. Some other self-soothing techniques that are in the physical realm, rocking. Just, if you ever seen the people at the Wailing Wall in Jerusalem and they're davening, you're rocking. What is that? It's just a self-soothing technique. It's very calming. Bilateral tapping, there's all kinds of things where we're gonna tap our body bilaterally, and it doesn't even matter where, just to do bilateral tapping, just tapping the body different. And then there's something called the emotional freedom technique, where you actually have very specific places so that's something you could learn online, a tapping technique where you can actually do affirmations as you're tapping. So that's something you could learn. It's all over the place. I think EFT or TFT says the emotional freedom technique or thought field therapy. So there's a couple of different names for that. And Travis, I'm not going to show the video. I was going to do the Havening video. I know you're queuing up for it, but
I had it ready.
I know, but it's too long actually. Maybe we'll send
Okay.
that out as a link, but I'm going to tell you a
Cool.
little bit. There's this technique called havening where you're basically just, you know, loving on yourself. I mean, and I do this sometimes even like if I'm at a meeting and I'm just, moving my fingers around, or if I'm anxious, I will soothe myself with touch. It's releasing oxytocin. So those are a lot of the self-soothing techniques, and there's a video that we can send you, and this guy who invented it doing this havening thing. So just think about all the different ways that you use your body for self-care. There's all kinds of things out there. Then using the senses. So we talked a lot about how important using the senses are. So all 5 of our senses, there is a particular technique you can use. The senses with a progressive muscle relaxation or a guided imagery or grounding. There's lots of different ways that you can use your senses. Like I was saying earlier, just tuning into your body. Feel your butt in the chair. Feel your feet on the ground. Feel the temperature of the air on your skin. So do it right now. Like, is it warm or is it cold? Just tune into your body. Tune into the muscles. You can go from the tips of your toes to the top of your head, just going and saying it out loud. Okay, feet, ankles, calves, knees, just go up the body and become aware of what is happening in that part of your body that you're focusing your attention on. And what's really neat is that you don't even really have to physically try to relax it. Just bringing attention to it will naturally allow it to relax. Okay, shoulders. And you tense, oh, there's tension there. Well, just by the fact that I notice that there's tension there, it starts to naturally relax. It's bizarre. Jaw. Yep. Uh-huh. Okay. So just progressively move through each one of the body parts. You can use any kind of guided imagery, bring yourself to a natural healing place outside in your mind. I go to the ocean every time. I imagine the waves, I imagine the smell of, the sea, and I hear seagulls flying, and I feel the sand with my toes. I use my imagination to take me to the beach. And so I use my own imagery and different grounding techniques, just being outside with bare feet on the ground. I will even do this. I've done this when it's freezing out, like go outside and put my bare feet on the earth or I live by a stream. So I went out and put my feet in this freezing cold water, and it grounds me. Or you can put it on your crown chakra. I can't actually get in. It's not that deep, but you know, lots of different ways that you can use the senses. Um, I'm not going to show the video either. This one, sorry, I've queued you up, but I'm going
You're
to,
good.
this is a simple grounding technique. There's another video that shows a little kid doing this. Anybody can do it. Just use your senses doing the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method. Look around the room and say it out loud. Name, I see a painting, I see a plant, I see, a garden ball, whatever it is that I see, say it out loud. 5 things you can see, 4 things you can feel or touch, 3 things you can hear. I hear the whir of the computer and the clanging of the garbage man outside. 2 things I can smell. I usually have aromatherapy sitting at my desk. And 1 thing I can taste, or 1 thing I can feel emotionally. So using that grounding technique, this is a really helpful technique to use yourself, but also you can use with coachees. Like if you're working with someone and a trauma response comes up and a memory or something, you can ask somebody to do this 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 exercise with you to bring them back to the here and now, to the present moment. Okay. Aromatherapy, I mentioned that. I have essential oils everywhere, and sometimes just sticking my head out the window and smelling the fresh cut grass will evoke a memory or something that's calming, soothing. So throw it in the chat what your favorite smells are. It's really funny how it's particular to people. My mother loved the smell of cow manure. She was a city girl, and when dad would take her out, he was a farm boy, right? And he would take her out driving in the country, and she's like, "What is that smell?" And he's like, "That's poop, Dorothy." But cow manure, she liked it. I love the smell of asphalt. I don't know why. Well, I do know why. It reminds me of my childhood. And I went to Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, and there was an amusement park, and they were paving it. And so my brain associates asphalt with amusement parks. Go figure. So people have all kinds of fun things that they use for aromatherapy. So think about how you can utilize your senses, um, and then utilize the mind. The mind that opens to a new idea never returns to its original size. This is neuroplasticity, my friends. Carve some new neural pathways. Learn something new every day. I'm going to Slovakia in the fall, so I'm going to learn to speak Slovak. I can't speak a word of it, but I'm going to learn between now and September. Not all, obviously I won't be fluent, but I'll be able to say a few things. So exercise the mind, do things like play chess or Jenga, read a book. There's all kinds of wonderful things that we can do to exercise our mind. Even, doing projects around the house, brain exercises, affirmations. What you tell yourself, you believe. So whatever it is that you're saying internally, if you're using negative self-talk and criticism, you're going to manifest that. That's what you believe. That's what's happening in your life. But if you tell yourself positive, affirming, kind things, that's what you're going to create in your life. So use the mind. Okay, so I want you to do this right now. Type it in the chat. What are 3 things that you like about you? And when you type these things in, the 3 things that you like about you, I want you to notice where is that landing in your body? How does that feel when you type out the things that you like about you? "39 new messages." Okay, I'm still looking at the aromatherapy stuff. Are we having a harder time with this, people? Come on. There we go. Passionate, studious, recovered. Yes, kind, genuine, and loyal. I believe that about you, Mary. I hope you believe that about you. Come on, let's see some more. Intelligent, father, loyal, creative spirit, ability to see others, genuine kindness, resilient, optimistic, positive. Yay! Honesty, caring, faith, smart, artistic, hardworking. You have a good smile, joy, loyalty. You have a good work ethic, compassion, listening, commitment, sense of humor, empathy, loving, faithful, hardworking. Yeah, so think about when you say these things, these are the words that your brain will capture. What we tell ourselves, we become. So if you like these things about yourself, keep reinforcing that with your affirmations. This is one way to use your mind. Instead of what we typically do is have the, the negative ticker tape, judgment, criticism, self-loathing, all of that crap. Gotta go. Gotta go. Do a Superman pose and be a child of God. Okay, so thinking about how you utilize your mind. All right, let's go back to the PowerPoint. And we'll talk about how you utilize the heart. One love, one heart, one destiny. Our connection to each other is amazing. If anyone's heard of the Heart Math Institute, they do all kinds of experiments about the field, the force field that is around each one of our beating hearts and how it affects the people around us. And, that we can synchronize our hearts with each other and with our own brains by doing all kinds of stuff. So we are going to, oh, wow, music and art. Well, I guess that's pretty artistic. My PowerPoint got a little bit. So do art and do music. These are some ways that we connect with our hearts, that we can connect with others. I'm sure you've been to, like a concert or something and have felt that connection to other people, either when you're creating music or you're experiencing listening to music together, or if you've been to an art museum. There's actually some research out there that about actually just viewing art, and how it changes our mind and our hearts. So here's an exercise that you can do where you hold your own heart. So if you place your own hands on your heart, come on, do it with me. Just place a hand on a heart. Just that action of doing it brings your awareness to the heart center. And so just if you want to close your eyes or you want to leave your eyes open, doesn't matter. But just saying to yourself, I feel love and compassion for myself and for others. And just take a moment to breathe into that and feel that love and compassion. So sometimes you can experience it in your heart as a sense of warmth, or maybe light, little sparks of fire. Maybe you can sense the beating of your heart. You can feel it with your hand, or you can feel it internally. It's really amazing how you can just tune into your heart and call to mind someone that you love. And just feel that love and compassion for that person. And send it out to them. And then watch how it comes back to you. Just the act of sending out love, healing, compassion, it just circles back around to you because the act of giving feels like receiving. So there's another lovely little exercise that you can do. Play soft music, do it a couple times a day. It's amazing thing. Ask your heart any question. Your heart knows all of the answers, says Deepak Chopra. So instead of going to the head and trying to figure things out, bring the awareness right into the body and see what your heart says. Okay, so let's see. Travis, I do want to play the next video. Do you think you can
Captain, I'm on it.
Because you are on it. Okay, so I'm gonna stop sharing screen because we want to talk about nature because this is, oh, we have 4 minutes. This is a short video, but we only have a couple more slides. But this is how you can use nature because nature, it's only a minute. It's very healing. You sharing sound?
You find yourself longing for the apocalypse? I did. I was looking for a reason to live. Hi. Are you feeling tired, irritable, stressed out? Well, you might consider nature.
From the people that brought you Getting Outside comes prescription strength Nature, a non-harmful medication shown to relieve the crippling symptoms of modern life.
Nature's recommended for humans of all ages, and it's great for pets too.
Nature can reduce cynicism, meaninglessness, anal retentiveness, and murderous rage. In clinical studies, Nature is proven to decrease work-induced catatonia.
Caution. Nature may cause you to slow down. quit your job, or seriously consider what the you're doing with your life.
If you are overly cynical, jaded, or emotionally numb, you may need to increase your dose of nature. Do you have trouble being even mildly uncomfortable? Nature may not be right for you. Side effects may include spontaneous euphoria, taking yourself less seriously, and being in a good mood for no apparent reason.
So ask your doctor if nature is right for you.
Thank you. I love it. I absolutely love that. It's on YouTube. You can find it. Show it to everybody. It's hilarious. But I love the things. Nothing in nature is clickable. You know, in the disclaimer, if you're mildly uncomfortable, you nature might not be for you. I'm going to the Adirondacks in a few hours, actually. Um, there is, if you guys are familiar with any of the New York treatment facilities, there was St. Joseph's up in Saranac Lake. Their spiritual director has opened up a retreat center for staff. A retreat center for staff. Oh my God. Like you can go there for the weekend. This is my maiden voyage. Go there for the weekend, and then he does a year-long follow-up where you get coaching and spiritual direction for a year after this. And there's some money to pay for it too. So like if you're interested, send me an email, I'll hook you up with him. Totally excited to go be out in nature and just be immersed in wellness for the weekend. So enjoy nature. All right, let's see. I think we're almost done. Look at this. I can't believe I actually got through every slide. This kills me. Four more. Okay, so that is using nature. Now, this is the other thing that I just alluded to, making sure that you're getting good supervision and or support. And that comes in a lot of different forms. So if you have a supervisor at your place of employment, I do a training called recovery-oriented peer professional supervision. And the thing that we say is the most important thing about supervision is to have it. I mean, just freaking have it. Have supervision. Like, go and show up in a place and have your supervisor show up and have a carved out time that's just for you. And it's not focused just on, did you get this report done or how many clients did you serve, but how are you? Is your tool sharp? How can I support you? So getting good supervision is really imperative. And this is, you know, what I forget who was saying earlier, Pete probably, who was saying about, you know, maybe you have to not be there anymore if you're not getting what you need. You know, sometimes we make decisions, you know, if we're not getting the support that we need. Peer learning collaboratives, as I said, CCAR is great for that. Friends of Recovery New York is great for that. I'm going to create a wellness support group at some point. There's, you know, support for all that. So understanding that self-care is a divine responsibility, and I say it's not just a good idea, it's an ethical responsibility. So define responsibility to yourself and an ethical responsibility to the people that you serve. All right, Q&A. We are down to questions and then my contact information, which is wrong, I'll throw it in the chat. Yeah, it's 12 o'clock. I'm okay to hang out for a few minutes, but let me put my email in the chat if anyone has questions, comments, wants to connect on any of this stuff. Feel free to contact me at my Gmail account. Balance Recovery Consultation, Tai Chi for Recovery, your wellness broker. That's like my tagline on all of my stupid videos. I do like TikTok and YouTube and Facebook and Instagram and all that stuff. I got all these reels and stuff, and I think I say that at the end of every video. I'm your wellness broker. So, comments, questions? I'm glad you had fun. Excellent. You had an experience. So that was the two things I wanted to say. Did we do it? I wanted to teach you one new thing and make sure you had an experience of emotion, you know, of nervous system regulation. If you got it, give me thumbs up. Any questions? Letitia, you had a question, comment?
I have a question. If I have missed a couple of the slides, how can I obtain them?
I'm sorry, I missed the first part. How can you what?
I missed a couple of the slides that when you were doing the presentation, and because I was taking pictures of the slides that you was showing, so I missed a
Yes.
couple of them. So
Send me
is
an
there any
email.
way to update them?
Yeah, send me an email. I'll see if I can send them to you.
All right, I appreciate that. Thank you.
All
And
right.
thank you for your service.
All right. It was fun. Thank you, everybody, for your participation and attention. I appreciate it. Have a chi-filled day, as we say. Go out and get some fresh air.